What is going on, you guys? Welcome to the Rated C podcast. This is your host, Cristopher Zamora. Welcome to another episode. So today, I want to speak to you about a huge UFC fight. You probably might have already know the result by now because I usually record my podcast on Saturdays. But the match I'm speaking of is Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. Dude, Jon Jones has only lost one time by DQ. He hasn't lost since that DQ. He has never been knocked out, and he has never lost by a decision. Just by that DQ from an elbow. That's about it. I just recently saw the documentary that Joel Vincent has put out. Like, you know those board films that he puts out for sport figures like Tom Brady, Mike Tyson, and Jon Jones. Now that was a really good documentary. Like, it shows everything that happened in his life, up to the time when he actually got the title back. I didn't even know that he tested positive twice in the UFC for enhancement drugs, which is insane, man. I'm guessing probably the MMA community, sometimes they feel like, nah, man, this guy cannot be the GOAT. Other MMA fans say that he is the GOAT if you just scrapped that he never took any steroids at all. But like for me, I just saw a 35-minute documentary and I had to say, that man is good. He's very good in the striking. And when he takes it on the ground too, he's like an all-around good fighter. Last time he has fought, I believe it was in 2019 or 2020. It's been a while since he has fought. And tonight, on Saturday, the time when I'm recording this podcast, he's going to fight Ciryl Gane for a title match. As a Ngannou, he is actually no longer part of the UFC. And they stripped him off from the title. It's going to be a mega fight, because Ciryl Gane is the number one contender, the number one guy of the division, and Jon Jones is just coming back. Will he be able to win? We'll find out, man. And Jon Jones is an all-around good fighter, and Ciryl Gane is just mostly focuses on striking opponents. If you guys saw how he actually fought Francis Ngannou, Francis took him down, and he didn't really do much when Francis Ngannou was actually just grappling him. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a one hell of a fight. Sorry, guys, I was just so excited just to speak to you about something that I was really interested in. So now, let's just go back to the horror, because this is a horror podcast. But before we go back to talking about horror, Drake, he has actually betted on Jon Jones to win tonight. And if you know, you know, the Drake curse, it's real, man. It's real. It has actually happened to Kamaru Usman. It has actually happened to Jake Paul recently when he fought Tommy Fury. And now he bet that Jon Jones is going to win this fight against Ciryl Gane. Oh, I don't know, man. That's crazy that the Drake curse is actually a thing. I saw a tweet saying that he betted at least $500K for Jon Jones to win. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm going for Jon Jones for the win. Alright, let's get back to horror. So, let's talk about The Last of Us TV show. We talked about 2 podcasts ago. I talked about episode 6, I believe. Yeah, I believe so. It was when Ellie and Joel, they were going to go see Tommy. They finally found Tommy. And I gotta say, like, that whole episode, not much really did happen. which is kind of disappointing, man, because in the video game, I don't know, man, it's just they could have just fit a lot of stuff in this episode, but they just mostly focus on the characters speaking a lot, which is a good thing, but we haven't really seen zombies in this show. Like, probably like the only time we've only actually seen them was probably in the first episode, the second episode, and on the episode when, spoilers, when Sam and Henry died. On that episode, that was like probably the only time we actually have seen the zombies, and ever since then there hasn't been any. There hasn't really been like a huge action scene. And I know I always keep comparing the video game to the TV show, but yes, man, I'm a huge fan of the video game, and I wanted this show to succeed. I mean, we still have 2 more episodes left. These 2 episodes, they're the big ones, man. They're the big climax of the whole game. These were like the best moments of the whole game. I won't say anything about episode 8 and 9, but now, guys, let's talk about episode 7, I believe. Yeah, episode 7. That was like a memory episode. You know, by the ending of episode 6 on The Last of Us TV show, Joel got injured because he got stabbed close to his heart. And so Ellie, she took him like in a safe place where they can just stay for a while. But on this episode, on episode 7, this was a flashback episode. We mostly got to see Ellie and her friend Riley go to like an abandoned mall in the middle of the night. This was just a reflection episode of Ellie just spending time with her friend at the time. This was the time before she met Joel. And not much did happen on this episode. But I really wasn't expecting not much to happen, because on The Last of Us Left Behind DLC, that's how it truly was, to be honest. The only scene that we actually got was from one zombie, just one zombie that attacked both of them. And Riley, she actually did turn into a zombie. We didn't actually really get to see because it just caught off by the ending of the episode. And this is when we actually found out that Ellie as well did get bitten. But if you guys have been following the TV show, that bite that she's been having has been over a whole month, or maybe even more than that already. And she never did turn, because supposedly she's immune to the virus. And the whole point of her and Joel going to a hospital is for her to get a cure for humanity. That was basically the whole point for the whole trip, going to a hospital, I believe in Wisconsin. I'm not really sure what's the actual part, but I know it's a hospital. It's a hospital they're going to. It had to be a banger of an episode, man, because it would really suck if they actually do miss parts of this insane, heart-loving video game. Because it would really suck, man, if they didn't really do it justice for episode 8 or 9. Throughout the whole TV show, I kind of felt a little bit down, to be honest. There's not much action, but there is a lot of talking. I don't know, maybe they just want the audience to know more about these characters. But that's what we mostly get from these characters. We always see them speaking to each other a lot. And yeah, man, that's all we had really gotten throughout the whole show. We hadn't really seen much else. just speaking, and probably just a little bit of action in the TV show, which kind of sucks, man, because these zombies are terrifying. They do remind me of the 20 Weeks Later zombies. They run really fast. When they met that huge monster thing, the bloater, that's what they call it. That thing was terrifying. Oh man, I'm guessing they're saving the zombies for season 2. And if you guys already know how season 2 starts, then you'll probably be disappointed if you have played the Last of Us Part 2 game. I'm not gonna say anything else about it, but yeah, you probably might be disappointed at how the first episode ends or starts. To be honest, I did not like how The Last of Us Part 2 unfolded. I wish it was different, but that's how Neil Druckmann wanted his video game to show. I also have to say that the Steam Deck, guys, the console, that system is so awesome. I believe this is the best system I've ever bought, to be honest. Like, this console, you can play mostly every single game that's ever been made. I'm still not really sure how to emulate video games because that process seems so complicated. And I'm just barely starting with the PC. I just only have about 2 weeks with this system. A PC. I've never actually played video games on a PC. But this system is so well done, man. I think it was worth the money. I spent about around $700 to get this system. The system is so cool. And the reason being is because it lets you play PlayStation games and the Xbox games as well. It's a thing called Remote Play. The PS Vita actually did have something like that as well, where you can actually play the PlayStation 4 games on the PS Vita. And if you just search it up on YouTube or anywhere else on Google, you can just find out how to actually do it on Steam Deck. And man, you'll be able to play any game that you have on the PlayStation 5 or 4 or the Xbox One. You could just play it just like that on the Steam Deck, just handheld the whole time. But the thing is that you have to keep the system running. That's the bad thing. And also as well, if you try to play the system outside of your house, it doesn't work because the Steam Deck and your PlayStation or any console, it has to be on the same Wi-Fi network, because if it isn't, it won't work. I looked it up and I tried to do it as well on a trip that I just took yesterday, and yeah, it didn't work. The cool thing is I was able to play the Steam games that I have downloaded from the Steam library. I was kind of afraid that maybe I have to have online the whole time to actually play these games. I was playing Batman Arkham City throughout the whole time, man. So it actually did work when I was going to the place I was going to go visit and then heading back home, man. So actually they work perfectly just playing Batman Arkham City. Dude, the Batman series, think that they have very great games. The Batman Arkham games is what I'm speaking of. Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, and Arkham Knight. I still haven't really played Gotham Knights, but I saw the reviews. They were bad for Gotham Knights. I don't know why they actually made like an RPG type of game for the Gotham Knights. They should have kept the same gameplay story base for Gotham Knights, because that formula they used for the Batman Arkham games, it just worked very well for Rocksteady. I don't know whose idea was it to actually change Gotham Knights to an RPG simulator. Simulator or game, I don't really know. But yeah, that really does suck, man. And also the Suicide Squad video game that's coming out. This game, it kind of does look the same as well for Gotham Knights. And I'm guessing this game is going to suffer the same thing as Gotham Knights did. Which really does suck, man, because I want these games to succeed. I've been a fan of the Batman games since I was young. And just seeing Gotham Knights not doing well, it just hurts, man. It just really does suck. But I'm just keeping my hopes up. Hopefully, Suicide Squad is just good. I think the first one to actually do it like that was probably the Avengers. It was actually the Avengers game. That was the game that actually started that trend of making RPG games for superheroes, which it didn't work out very well at all. And then that's when Gotham Knights came in, and now the Suicide Squad. So I don't know, man. 3 strikes, you'll already be out. Yeah, it just really does suck that actually does happen like that. What I do like to talk to you about is probably Spider-Man. Insomnia Games has actually made these games a success. The Spider-Man remastered one and the Spider-Man Miles Morales one. These games are so perfect. Once a year, I always play Spider-Man Miles Morales, like close to Christmas time. This is like a game that I need to play now, like close to winter time, because you just swinging around New York when it's just snowing and you're Miles Morales and just going around just kicking these bad guys' ass. It's just so badass, man. I just wish the game was longer, just like how the first one was. Like, people probably might say that they should have just made this game as a DLC for Spider-Man Remastered. But no, that's fine. That's fine that it should be made as its own thing, because it's Miles Morales, man. He's another Spider-Man in the universe. So it was cool. And speaking of Miles Morales, the Into the Spider-Verse movie, that's my favorite Marvel movie so far. This movie is just so great. The animations they did on this movie, they're pretty cool. And like the part when that song that came out is called What's Up Danger, him just flying around New York City, and that whole scene, man, is just so epic. Oh man, it's just Into the Spider-Verse is such an awesome movie, man. I just cannot put any more words to it. It's just really good. I saw the trailer for the second movie, but I don't know, man. It just, something feels off, and I feel like they cannot replicate what they did for Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know, man. It just seems like it's not replicable. Is that even a word? But yeah, man. I just don't know what to say. Hopefully it does well. And we had to talk about Resident Evil, man. Resident Evil 4 is coming soon. It's coming out on March 23rd. And I'm still deciding on what system to get it on. Should I get it for the Steam Deck or for the PlayStation 5? Maybe I'm probably might get the game when it's on sale for the Steam Deck. But for the PlayStation 5, I'll probably buy it at full price. I don't know, man. I'm just still thinking of it. That's what's cool about the Steam Deck. You can just actually just play it anywhere, like on handheld, and you can just play it on TV just like that with the dock that you have to buy for the Steam Deck. The cool thing is that you don't need to actually just use the Steam Deck they gave you for Valve. You can actually get any third-party dock, so that's pretty cool. I'm replaying Resident Evil 2 on the Steam Deck. Well, actually, it's on the PlayStation 5 because when it came out, I bought it on the PlayStation 5. But since I can remote play video games now, I can actually just play it from my Steam Deck. And it's just awesome, man. That system is just so cool. If only you could have done that for the Nintendo Switch. Dude, Nintendo Switch would have probably been the best system. But I have to give the title to Steam Deck, man. It's just a one-of-a-kind system. It's because of the video games. Nintendo only allows you to play Nintendo Switch games. Nintendo doesn't let you play any other games, which really does suck. And we just want to play Resident Evil 2 on the Steam Deck, but you can't. Because they don't have a video game. Or, well, I don't know. Probably the emulation thing. Probably it's possible, but I don't know how to do that. Yeah, the emulation, man, is just very complicated. I tried to look it up on YouTube, and I was just following what this person was saying, but I don't know. It just seems so complicated right now. Maybe I just need more time with the PC. But Resident Evil, man, Resident Evil 4 looks good. I never actually played the original Resident Evil 4. I seen a little bit of gameplay for the original. It was cool, but the newest one, it just blows it out of the park, man. It just looks so badass. Leon just killing the villagers and all the zombies that come in the game. Looks badass. The graphics is just what makes it even more better, man. The graphics are getting more realistic, man. That's what I'm really noticing now. This game, it looks so good. The graphics look so realistic now. I remember the Xbox 360. I thought those video games, they look realistic back then. But now, man, those those graphics are insane, man. They're just insanely good. Wow. Graphics are changing so much that they just looking more realistic game by game. It's so insane, man. I've never actually did try PlayStation VR. This system, the PlayStation VR 2, it costs way more than the PlayStation 5. I think it actually costs about $600 or $550, which is insane, man. Since I just barely got the Steam Deck 2 weeks ago, I don't think I'm not gonna spend money on the PlayStation VR 2. And to be honest, the video games that I have for the VR didn't really get my attention. The only one that actually does is Resident Evil Village. That's about it. So that's basically the only one for me. Like, I don't see Horizon Zero Dawn as a game that I want to play for the VR. And like, for me, Horizon Zero Dawn, the original one, I never actually got to pass that game. I don't know, there was just one part that I couldn't get past. And I just wish I knew how to do it, but probably I'm gonna have to I had to restart the game. Like, I was playing it in normal mode. It was just a hard level to pass, so that's why I just stopped playing the game. It was okay to me, but I never actually finished it. I've actually played every other single PlayStation exclusive, like Spider-Man Miles Morales, God of War 1, and God of War Ragnarok. Let me see, which ones else? Okay, the Uncharted ones as well, but there hasn't really been another one for the PlayStation 5. Okay, The Last of Us as well. The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. Oh, speaking of The Last of Us, the video game for the PC is coming out very soon. I believe it's coming on the 23rd of March, I believe. But I know it's coming out this month. It's coming out on PC. And I believe I'm just gonna save my money. I don't know if I should get it yet. Probably I'm just gonna wait for it on sale. I know it's the remake of The Last of Us Part 1, but I already know what happens in the game, so that's why I'm not really rushing to go get the video game. If it was a new game like Resident Evil 4 that I have never played before, then yes, I would have go buy the game just like that. But Resident Evil 4, hopefully, is a really good game. Usually, people say that Resident Evil 4 was the scariest of the whole series. Like, that's their favorite one. Because after Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5 came in, and this game didn't really much focus on horror. It was starting to focus more on action base, which not many people didn't like. And Resident Evil 6, this game was just a full-blown action adventure type of game. It was no longer horror. The game that actually brought horror back to Resident Evil was Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. That was the game that actually did introduce me to Resident Evil. I never played a Resident Evil game before I played Resident Evil Biohazard. So yes, man, I am excited for Resident Evil 4. Hopefully is good, man. And you know, there's an actual sale going on right now. I don't know if it will be still available by the time you're listening to this podcast, but there's also a sale going on for Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. You can get both of those games for $14.99. That's a really good deal because when I got both of these games, they cost about $60 to $50 each. Yeah, so that's a great deal to actually get these games for the Steam Deck. If you are a huge fan for Resident Evil, that's a really huge deal if you on Steam and play PC games. If never actually played these games anywhere else, that's a great deal if you guys want to know about it. If you guys really want to get those games before you actually get Resident Evil 4, you probably might like Resident Evil 2 more than Resident Evil 3. For me, that's how it was, because for me, Resident Evil 2 was scary. And I'm actually replaying the video game, and it's scary, man. It's scary because I'm holding it now on the handheld device, and yeah, man, it's a good game, man. It's a really awesome game. But as for Resident Evil 3, I feel like they kind of missed the mark. I feel like they could have done a little bit more. I feel like they focus a little bit more on the action than on horror. Don't get me wrong, there's still a few parts in the video game that are scary, but like it kind of did focus more on the action. And also, that monster came in. I think his name is Apocalypse, I believe. Sorry if I get it wrong, but yeah, Apocalypse came in on the third one. But I believe you should get these games if you are a fan of the video games on Steam. You can actually get these games at $14.99, and each one separately just costs $9.99. So you just save $5. It's a good deal, man. It's a good deal if you guys want to get it. Now let's bring it back to MMA or boxing. I wanted to speak to you about the Tommy Fury win against Jake Paul. It is well deserved, man. I really thought that Jake Paul was going to win this fight. It just seemed like he really was going to beat Tommy Fury. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing that he lost, man. He lost and finally he got humbled, man. Finally somebody took him down. And the crazy part is that someone was a real boxer. He has never actually fought a pro boxer, and Tommy Fury was his challenge, and he lost. What I like about Tommy Fury is that he doesn't really talk smack about others unless somebody else talks bad about him. They were preparing for this fight for over 2 years, or just about 2 years. And like people were saying that he was afraid and that he was just dodging Jake Paul this whole time. But then he showed the critics that he can actually defeat this guy. Because, damn, man. He was just getting talked about so bad that Jake was going to knock him out and this and that. Tommy Fury won by split decision. I thought it would have been by unanimous decision, but I'm guessing because since supposedly Jake knocked him down, I believe that's what made the decision a split one and not a unanimous one. On the post interview, they asked Tommy how he felt when he fought Jake Paul. They told him that this guy is a boxer and he does know how to fight. I like the part when he actually mentioned that he only had like self-confidence in himself. Like he knew that he was going to beat Jake Paul. He knew that he wasn't going to have any issues going against him. I like that he just mentioned he was just confident in himself. I usually like to see the post interviews just to see like how the fighters are feeling on that moment, because it's pretty interesting to me. So yeah, it was awesome seeing Tommy Fury actually beat Jake Paul. Jake Paul got humbled, and now Logan wants to fight Tommy Fury. Logan is not a better boxer than Jake Paul. This is a fight between Jake and Tommy. If Jake wants the rematch against Tommy Fury. But I don't know, man. We'll see what's going to happen next for them. But I believe that Jake needs to fight KSI. That's the fight to make for influencer boxing. They've been going at it for about 5 years, and this fight still hasn't been made. That's the fight that needs to be made now, man. Right after KSI fights whoever around May, right after that fight, they need to make that fight immediately. That needs to happen this year in 2023. And yeah, I think that is it for this podcast, guys. Hey, thank you so much for listening to my bits for MMA and boxing. I know it's not horror related, but it's just some things I'm interested as well, other than just horror, guys. So yeah, it's just some things, guys, that I do enjoy just talking about as well. And I hope you enjoyed it as well too. And speaking of enjoyment, if you guys enjoy this podcast, make sure to tell one of your friends or your family member who is into horror to listen to this podcast. And also, wherever it is you're listening to this podcast, make sure to subscribe to it. If you're listening to it on iTunes or on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, because I'm going to keep making these episodes, hopefully. Thank you so much for listening. As always, guys, take care and live to the fullest. Bye.